The Stick of Truth is exactly what I expected in a South Park game, which of course is not a negative at all. I just recently played the Stick of Truth for the first time, and yeah, I know I'm a tad late, give me a break. I actually watched people play this game in 2015, but by this point I had completely forgotten the story and the gameplay, so I thought, hey, I would give it a try, especially since, you know, I actually watched the show now. I'm gonna split this review into 4 categories. If you don't want major spoilers, don't worry, I'll warn you when they're about to come up. Without further ado, let's get this started. What makes this feel like South Park is quite simply the excellent writing. This game is hilarious with the creative and carefully crafted absurdist humor that you would only see on South Park.
At first, I didn't want to join the KKK at all, but the Grand Wizard made some really good points.
By the way, that clip comes from my Twitch. If you want to follow me, it'll be the top link in the description. You know, just so I mention it. If you like South Park, you are most likely going to like this game. This game is designed for the fans through and through, and that's something I can really appreciate. Each character is consistent to who they are in the show while expanding their characters in interesting ways as well. There's not much else I can say here revolving the writing. It's consistent to the show, and it's done effectively. You pay for a South Park game, and that's exactly what you get. A good, well-executed South Park game. The Stick of Truth is a turn-based RPG. There's 2 main aspects to the gameplay, one being the combat, and the second one being traversing and scavenging across the map, like many RPGs. I think both aspects of the gameplay are serviceable, but I'm gonna be honest, I think the gameplay is definitely the weakest link here. Don't get me wrong, the RPG combat and getting all the collectibles is enjoyable, but honestly, most of the time, the battles and the collectibles were not what was pushing me through the game. The attacks are pretty simple to execute, you know, nothing really revolutionary there. I will say I really like the moveset that each character gets. I think that is really nice, and I like some of the animations that go with them. My favorite attack cutscene is definitely the Professor Chaos one. I just love it. All right, Butters, let's do it. Let's do it, Butters. I love this cutscene though.
Let's see how you like dealing with me.
I also really like Kenny's charm attack. I think it's pretty funny.
Oh wow, boobies. Must have, must touch, boobies.
Oh geez, that's awesome. But yeah, the battles are perfectly alright, but it's still one of the weaker parts of the game. One thing I do really appreciate about this game is that it doesn't make you grind like many RPGs, which I find to be very, very nice. This game has very little filler, if any at all. Everything you do seems like there's a point, and it doesn't seem like, oh, well, you have to attack 50 enemies before you level up. You know, you could just go through it and you don't have to worry about, oh, how much do I have to grind to get to the next step. The flip side of this, however, is that it's a very short game. My playthrough took 14 hours, but that's because I'm incredibly slow and methodical. I think that a normal player would probably take anywhere from 8 to 12 hours to complete this game. Its length is definitely a drawback, but I'll go more into that when I talk about the story. Overall, the gameplay is decent and enjoyable. It does what it needs to do and provides an interesting game experience, but like I said, it's not the draw. That's where the story comes in. Now this is where I talk about spoilers. If you have any interest in playing this game, I would recommend that you skip to this time code right here. If you have no interest or you've already played it, here we go. The story follows your customizable character who is referred to as the New Kid throughout the majority of the story. Your name's revealed to be Dovahkiin at the end, but to be honest, it's not that important to the story. So you and your family move to South Park, and it's quickly revealed that your parents know something about you that you do not.
Do you remember why we moved to this quiet little mountain town? He doesn't remember.
He doesn't remember at all.
That's good he doesn't remember.
So your parents go and tell you to make some friends, and that's where you find Butters outside, who recruits you to the human faction in the fantasy roleplay game they're playing. You're then brought to Eric, where you can pick your class. I personally picked Jill, but each class has its own different moveset and different abilities. You're then told about the powerful Stick of Truth, and how whoever controls it controls the universe. This is when the elves attack, trying to get the stick, and this is where your first battle begins. Cartman sends you to fight off the elves and Clyde to guard the stick. Once you beat up these elves, you find out that Clyde lost the stick to the elves, which makes Cartman a little upset.
That was your one goddamn job, Clyde!
Cartman promptly banishes Clyde from space and time, which, hold on to that because it will be important later. Cartman then tasks you with getting Tweak, Tolkien, and Craig to prepare for a counterattack against the Drow Elves for the stick. You go on the offensive against the elves and you have to take down Jimmy the Bard. And after that, it is nighttime and you're forced to go to bed. In your sleep, you're abducted by aliens and you have to find your way out of the UFO. Randy is also with you, so you break him out and take down the UFO. This is where the second act of the game begins. There's this mysterious goo that leaks out of the UFO, which is revealed to turn people into Nazi zombies. The government obviously wants to contain this, so their plan is to blow up South Park completely. Taking a bit of a step back from that plotline though, Cartman informs you that the elves took the stick when you guys were sleeping and tells you to recruit the golf kids for the humans. This is where you're ambushed by elves who take you back to the elves' leader, Kyle. Kyle tells you that humans are the problem and requests you recruit the golf kids for the elves. This is where you get another choice. You can either choose to go with the humans or you can choose to go with the elves. Ultimately, it doesn't change the ending of the story, but I kind of like the branching paths. I think it's pretty cool. Personally, I chose the elves because at that point I was using Jimmy as a buddy a lot, though I did feel kind of bad betraying Butters. So if you're on the elf side, you're told that the stick is under Cartman's desk, but after a huge battle and going through the whole school, you realize the desks don't have compartments under them. You're then told to go to Clyde's locker, where there is a laptop, which plays a video revealing he has the stick. Told you to keep Clyde in mind, that dirty little rascal. It's also revealed that Clyde has a container of goo from the UFO and is turning things into Nazi zombies to be his minions. The elves and humans decide to team up against Clyde and get back the stick of truth, and they ask you to recruit the girls. After doing some quests, you get them on your side and you head over to Clyde's treehouse to take him down. This is where it's revealed that the government actually planted the bomb in South Park already. In Mr. Slave's ass, because, you know, of course, you have to shrink yourself, go up there, and disarm it. There's actually an alternate ending where if you just leave, it blows up, and you know, that's the ending. I'm just gonna assume that we want the real ending here, so I'm just gonna keep going. So you do that, and then you go and defeat Chef in the form of a Nazi zombie, which is pretty cool to see. It's nice to see Chef. The government starts swarming around Clyde's treehouse, and they find you, and they finally tell you what your secret ability was this whole time that forced you to move to South Park in the first place, that everyone was hiding from you, or your parents at least. The whole time, your gift is how quickly you can make Facebook friends. Like, that's your power. That's why it's so, yeah, it's fucking stupid. After this, you see that Nazi Chef wasn't your last battle though, as you find out Princess Kenny wanted the stick for herself the whole time. She takes the stick, drinks the Nazi zombie goo, and becomes the final boss. Once you beat her, you have this nice ending where you, Stan, Cartman, and Kyle throw the stick of truth into Stark's pond, ending all the fighting and restoring peace. The story is imaginative, and I really like seeing these situations where the South Park kids just act like kids, you know, playing fantasy. Like, I think that's really cool. It's kind of wholesome, and I think it's a cute story. I will say I wish they added more after you beat the game. It kind of seems hollow, you know? Like, there's not that much interaction after. I just wish that they had more of that. The story is also pretty short, like I mentioned, which contributes to that hollow feeling as well. It's like once you start, you're done, and it leaves me wanting a bit more. I will say that's definitely a compliment in a sense. The fact that it's such a good story and has such an engaging world that just leaves me wanting more. I guess that's the best critique you can get. The game is pretty good, and it makes me excited to play the Fractured Butthole, which I will be reviewing, by the way. I'll also be playing it on Twitch, so you know, if you want to follow my Twitch, I'm just saying. The writing is incredible, the story is incredible, and while I have a few nitpicks with the gameplay, overall it's a pretty solid game. Now, would I pay the full $30 it costs on Steam for this game? No, absolutely not. It's not worth that. There's just not enough content. Wait till it goes on sale like I did. I really like this game, but it's just not worth $30. Now, is it worth $7, which is ultimately what I ended up paying for it? if you're a South Park fan, absolutely, no doubt, definitely. I recommend this game with a couple of conditions, but nevertheless, I still recommend it. It's a good game. I hope you guys like this video. If you guys want to see more game review type videos, I'm definitely down. I'm open to the idea if that's what you guys want to see. I did make a video reviewing bad Steam games a while ago. I just think that the concept of digging up the content and reviewing it, I think that's interesting. So yeah, I definitely dive more into that type of content. I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Have a good day. And bye-bye. You know, you didn't say a whole word this whole time, buddy. Good job, Sir Elk. Good job. Good job. Good job.